welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. And today is an extremely special occasion for us because my co-host Robin and I are celebrating our 2-year anniversary and celebrating everything we have accomplished in 2 years, every woman we have featured, every message we have amplified. And with such joy and gratitude, we have invited all past participants to engage to the extent possible. And we want to make this truly a reunion where we celebrate each other, we lift each other up, and live the spirit of women investing in women. So to kick this off, I am going to turn it over to my amazing co-host, Robin. Robin, take it away.
This is such a joyful occasion. As part of this reunion, I went and made a list of every guest, their first name, last name, the title of their episode, their contact information, a little description. I'm now still filling in all the books that different people have written, and many of our guests have written books, and just going through and just seeing woman after woman after woman and the amazing things that they're doing to empower women, empower girls, to make the world a better place, which I know is such a cliche term, but in this day and age is so needed. It was so very inspiring. I was just really, really thrilled. And I actually made a tiny little PowerPoint. So I'm just going to open up my PowerPoint just to share a couple of things. So let me do that. And then, let's see, here we are.
So as she's doing that, welcome to the ladies who are already here. And we will wait for the others to join. It's a Saturday. So folks are going to join as they are able to while they take care of family and things they need to on a Saturday. Go ahead, Robin.
So this is the opening screen, Women Investing in Women. And, oops, I realize this has to be in here before. Not sure why that's not advancing. Oh, sorry. There we go. So it is February, about the third week in February, 2023. And I was at a conference in Austin, Texas. And on Thursday, I get a text message from Cass saying, hey, my Saturday guest, because Cass has a number of podcasts. One of them is called
Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks.
Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, Getting It Just Right. And it was always such an inspiring program that I would attend it every week. Even though it was at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning in Los Angeles, I would wake up to attend because it was just always so inspiring. Well, I was at a conference in Austin. I get this text message from Cass saying, hey, my guest couldn't show up on Saturday. Do you want to hop on and we'll talk about how women support each other? And I said, yeah. And so I looked at my schedule. I was a volunteer at this conference. I looked at my schedule and said, yeah, I can make that time slot. And so I was just in my hotel room with my volunteer t-shirt on. And we were talking about how women support each other and how they can learn to support each other more. And instead of coming from a place of competition, and somewhat that being a generational thing, have a spirit of collaboration and having a spirit of abundance instead of holding everything just to yourself. And we were having this wonderful conversation. And in the middle of the conversation, Cass goes, you know what? We are going to have a podcast called Women Investing in Women. I'm announcing it right now. It's going to be called Women Investing in Women. And you're going to be my co-host. And we're going to start it in March for Women's History Month, which is like a week later. And I said, sounds good. Let's do it. And so she has an amazing team, and they put together this wonderful, introduction and all that. And a week and a half later, we kicked it off. And I'm going to go ahead and play this. I played just the very, very first part of the very first episode. Then we'll show you what was on that episode. Let's see. Come on. Here we go. Isn't this a cool intro? I love it. And you can read it just like without 7 days. I think it was Maureen Blake. Right.
Welcome to the co-hosted conversation with Robin Johnson and I, where Robin and I are going to talk about women investing in women and why it is important for women to invest in women. Robin.
It is so great to be here, and how exciting to kick off this inaugural podcast, Zoomcast, with the wonderful Sister Juanita. And Cass and I go back a long ways, and I know that she goes back even farther with our wonderful guests, and it's just great to be here.
Thank you, Robin.
Very good. And then I'll go on to the, sorry. So this was so exciting because the person that Cass had as her very first guest is Sister Juanita. This is the nun who helped Cass when she escaped from Sri Lanka as a teenager. She escaped the civil war in Sri Lanka and fled to India. And this nun brought her in and cared for her and cared for other young women. And it was to me, it was such a full circle, such a moving experience that here now Cass is in this, amazingly positive and successful stage in life and helping so many other people. And as our very first guest, we had this nun who had helped Cass. It was very, very, very moving. And let's see what else. Oh, we'll go on to that later. So anyway, so I just wanted to share that, how this got started. It was truly spontaneous, is truly organic. And let's see, one of the people, I don't know if she's hopped on yet. She hasn't hopped on yet, but if she hops on, I'll recognize her. What was interesting, I was at this conference. So I finished this, podcast with Cass where she says, we're going to start this new podcast, Women Investing in Women. I went back down to the conference and was doing my helper bee volunteer stuff. And as I was waiting in line while we were waiting for one of the sessions to open, I started chatting with the woman in line behind me. And she shared how she works with the women who to help prevent Alzheimer's, because I guess there's a higher percentage of people with Alzheimer's who are women. And I said, you know what? We're starting a podcast, Women Investing in Women. Do you want to be on it? We're just barely starting. She says, yeah. So after Sister Juanita, she was our very first guest that I met right after walking back down to my conference and meet someone right there to have on our show. And so this is truly a truly organic and just kind of growing grassroots sort of event. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'll stop share for now.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin. And this is so meaningful to us because as women, we know two things to be factually true, right? We are here today because other women have invested in us and they have nurtured us and helped us become the women we are today. And as we live our life, we have a support system. The quality of life for a woman is in her sisterhood. And the only way we stay in our power and we pay it forward is continuing to build and lift each other up. And our strength, our power is in our collective. So this is why Robin and I do this. This is why we are immensely grateful for every woman in her own way making her impact. And the reason why women have a larger propensity for Alzheimer's is women are the ones who make the largest sacrifice with lack of sleep and everything to care for everybody. Alzheimer's, one of the great indicators of who's going to get Alzheimer's is the people who don't get at least 8 hours sleep every day of their life, right? So this is directly a caregiver's illness. And as such, it behooves us to support each other, care for each other, and show up with compassion to lift each other up in a world that doesn't give women that right, that recognition, and making slight remarks and joking about women to putting things in place that are harmful to women. We run the gamut of experience, but the only way we break the cycle is we stand up for each other. And when we lift each other up, we lift ourselves up. So with that, I am going to actually open this up to some of the women who are here and talk to us, share with us how your experience on women investing in women was, and how can we do more to bring this group together and make a meaningful, lasting impact. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, no, I would say that it is probably one of the most important things we can do, just like you said. In my original career, one of the main reasons I left that whole career behind was the toxic women in the workplace. And to get away from that and then immerse myself into this entrepreneurial world where I find so many women are here to lift and encourage and inspire each other. It has just been a completely different kind of cycle in life, really. And I think the more that we do this, like you said, it lifts us as an individual when we know we're helping others. But I mean, that whole thing about, you know, the rising tide lifts all boats. And it is just so true that the more we can do just to be together, to lift each other, and the idea that, you know, scarcity and there's not enough and we have to compete for clients or money or those kind of things, that is so far from true. There is a need for everything that we're all doing. And there, if anything, there's a lack of us doing this, not a lack of the people that need our help. So, you know, spinning that around and seeing that, yes, everything we do to lift each other and it's great if you do that on a local scale or a national scale or a global scale. But every time you help any other woman or girl, it causes a change in the world.
I would say it's quite interesting how in your career as it evolves, you as a woman, especially I'm in technology, and technology, which has been in my career very much a male dominated industry, still is in many ways, that you don't realize how much you need other women. And there is a little bit of, as you mentioned, Kathy, that toxic femininity that goes in sometimes, and this whole battle of working mom, just no kids, that sort of thing. I think over time, I've realized that it is actually the women that I've encountered, the women who have coached me, that have actually helped me become who I am. And I'm at that stage now where, you know, I care more about, as I'm thinking, you know, this is recorded, and I'm like, okay, who's going to see this? But you know what? I care more about the women and, well, everyone on my team, but the well-being of the folks and how can I help them succeed? What can I do? What can I coach them with? How can I teach them that we're not in competition with each other? That has become more important to me in so many ways than even progressing my career at this point. Kind of love what you're doing, Kathy and Taz and Robin. And it's like, okay, some point I will take a left turn. And as Kathy, as Robin and Taz know, that is actually something that's becoming more and more passionate for me to get out, to help, to teach, to coach. Wouldn't be here without it. I mean, look at me. So I woke up, I got out of bed. I saw the reminder. It's it's actually our fiscal year end. So it's been, you know, long, busy days, and had my hair, saw the reminder, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way I can go jump on a video call. But then I realized that, you know what? It's other women, and these women are not going to judge that my hair is not styled, that I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I'm in Colorado, so that's my excuse. Because that's how we should be. We should be accepting of who we are as we are. So
Yeah. I love that. I just love it. And what's really interesting is Kathy's comment, and the person we had for our 1-year anniversary was Caroline Miller, just an amazing woman and really, really supports women. And she talked about relative to a comment that Kathy made, where there's still a whole lot of women who are in what I'm going to right now call the old school of competition, of not helping. And I had two experiences. One, I was at a conference for women, for women by women, and they had a panel discussion. And some of the women on the panel, and some of them were BIPOC, women of color, and they were sharing how, no, the women in my life did not help me. They did not help me. I really had to pull myself up by the bootstraps, and it was the men who helped me. The women were very, very competitive. And I asked one of my colleagues in work about, the women who've helped me. She says, no, women haven't helped me. And I was like, they haven't? I was just shocked because I have had supportive women around me. And so it was interesting that I'm wondering if it's a generational thing, and hopefully we're turning the corner on that. But some thoughts on, do we see this getting better, or are there still pockets of competition as opposed to collaboration?
So to build on what you were just talking about, Robin, women, at least in this Western society, are raised in a scarcity environment, right? There are jobs that are for women, which pay less, and there are jobs for men that pay more. So teachers, nurses don't make as much money as technology people and doctors, right? And principals and administrators make more than teachers. So roles and responsibilities are set up in a way that women's primary job is caregiving, and caregiving doesn't pay. So part of colonial change that happened in economics is the work women do are not producing goods and services. Therefore, it shouldn't require payment. And the only financially remunerated jobs, as they define jobs, are what men do. So we've created this environment where women don't get paid. And when women are outside doing paid work, there's one seat at the table, if at all. And when a woman gets there, it is in her self-interest not to let anybody else there. So it's designed for leaving everybody else out, right? Intentionally to control. And so how do we break that cycle is important. And women have always been able to help each other socially, but professionally, the competition is there, right? And we also have an environment where girls are raised playing with dolls and cooking sets and things in the West. And therefore, they have to grow up wanting to marry the right guy, have the right lifestyle. So there's competition in the personal life and the professional life. And research shows that when a society is set up for intra-sexual competition, for work, for life, for social existence, then that society cannot economically develop because there is an inherent Achilles heel. So to me, that is the fundamental problem. And the only way we're going to overcome this is women making a conscious decision that we're not going to be controlled by the system that was put in place. We don't need a seat at the table. We're going to build our own table. We're going to build our own houses and businesses, and we're going to bring the right people in. And we are breaking this generational curse that was intentionally handed over to us. That's where my mindset is. And that's what I strive towards. because I have the luxury of seeing United States from the outside in, because I wasn't raised in this culture. I was raised to be the head of the household. I was raised to be the primary breadwinner. I was raised to be an equal partner to a man who married me and came into my home.
I think another big part of that too is that general awareness that I think when women do come into some of these like businesses and fields, like you're saying, where this is the culture that you compete, you have to beat your way into where you are and you better protect your spot. I think the more we're able to open that up so women are not feeling isolated and this is the culture, this is what I have to do. And the more they meet other women in other fields doing other things and see that difference in what the culture can be and what the perspective can be. And Robin, you were asking earlier about one of my recent books that I just mentioned was called Grit and Tenacity, Women Transforming Leadership in Business and Community. And that whole book is an anthology of women from all over the world bringing that perspective of how are we changing leadership. Whereas, like you said, this whole idea of we're not just taking a seat at the table, we're building our own table. We're starting from scratch. We are not going with the old model and changing that. We're creating a brand new model, doing things differently, and stepping completely away from those old masculine systems. And I think that's what it is, that we need to see what's going on, see the options, see the opportunities, see the better ways that things are being done in other places, and help women who are feeling isolated and stuck in these boxes.
But I'm not surprised that you said that you asked your colleagues and they had all said that women didn't help them, men did. And I do think, so some element of that is, I would like to believe, is generational, right? Because I think that there's some truth to it. Even if I look at my own career, some amazing men who have helped me get where I'm at. But I actually believe that women who have succeeded don't know how to help other women succeed. And sometimes it's interpreted probably incorrectly. I really want to believe, and maybe this is just, maybe a little bit of Pollyanna in me, but I really want to believe that what they're wanting to do is help a woman and they see themselves as a success. So they're trying to force fit what they have done onto another woman. Well, you need to be in my mold, therefore, and if you're not, and it comes across as, it can, not always, but it can come across as a little bit hostile. It's almost like we need a lesson in how can we help other women properly, especially as some of these new younger generations are coming in. And I can tell you, they have very little tolerance for, getting words of wisdom that don't come across the right way. So I think it's just an interesting area to examine is we ourselves need to learn how to help other women.
It's
You bring up
mentorship
an
and
excellent,
sponsorship.
yeah, you bring up such an excellent point, Mary, and you're in technology, I'm in finance in technology industry. So we see this every day. And the powerful message you're giving is amplified by the powerful image that is behind you.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
sitting supported by, surrounded by, framed by women who have been role models. Do you want to take a moment and talk about why your organization does this and how that allows you to show up differently and set up a culture organizationally different?
Yeah, they're very supportive. And I have been with my company for over 29 years now, which is unheard of in the tech space. So our company, it's not required, it's not mandatory, but we do have a diversity initiative where we're helping others be aware. I think it's more about awareness than anything else. So one thing this past month has been Women's History Month. And you mentioned that, Robin, that 2 years ago, you launched your first podcast right in March. So for Women's History Month, and we do have some speakers, we will have some activities. And obviously we have a background, and I know it seems like just a simple background, and it will change every month. Not everybody uses it. In fact, I would say the majority don't, right? It's a personal choice. My boss does. I love that. He's one of the folks who has lifted me up in my career. I do, and I started to because it causes the conversation. I mean, look at us. We're talking about it now. Wow, what a cool background. It is a cool background. It means something. So whether it's Women's History, mental awareness, it's Black History Month, whatever it might be, it's causing the conversation. So for this month, especially when it's super important as we try to help women within our organizations and me in technology where they're sparse, I think it's even more vital. And you will see key executives around the org with the background. You kind of, I don't think they do it for show because then there are those who don't. So I want to believe when I see it, it shows you something that they really are trying. Not all of them represent the right way. Like, in other words, their actions don't necessarily, and I really want to believe it's because they just don't know how. But the fact that they put the background up means they're paying attention and they care, because they could easily just use a stock background, a company background, something like that. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
You know, this might be a pivot, and we can always pivot back. But one of the things I wanted to do during this reunion was to hear what are you doing? You know, what is something new or interesting or something that you care about that you're doing, either relative to women investing in women or just whatever you happens to be working on in your professional or even your personal or community life. Why don't you go, Kathy, and then Maddie?
Sure. Yeah, and as many of you know, the main thing that I do is create multi-author books to give women that opportunity to share their journey, share their story, spotlight how they are helping other people, taking on the challenges in life. So always a lot of different themes, different titles to really hit different ideas and what we're looking at. And so I continue to do that. So we released 3 books last year. We're on track for probably 4 by the middle of the year. So kind of amplifying that. But it really hit me too that one of the main reasons women might want to be in these books is for building visibility and impact in their business and what they're doing in their life. And so now what I'm creating is a group program where we can work together to be doing that. So we can work together to learn those skills around whether it's social media or speaking or other ways of amplifying our visibility, but actually doing it together. So it's actually getting done. We've got that sisterhood of others going through this as well, that accountability to say, yes, these are the things I wanted to get done. This is what I'm doing. So that's one of the additions I'm doing now to really, again, kind of lift women in that way of, okay, what else do we need? Let's do this together.
I love that, Kathy. I need to connect with you because I can tell you. So I have been just trying to keep my head above water. So at this point, I mean, I'm speaking at an executive at a conference in April on a panel. And what I have done since we've spoken is it's given me some more motivation and courage to just put my name out there. Hey, I really have some things to say. My company is going through a split. And one of the biggest things that I've been focused on is coaching everyone, male or female, on how to handle the separation. So it's, you know, I'm not ashamed to say that at this point, I want to invest more in myself. Now, I will say I have taken some, what does my girlfriend tell me? Progressive steps to try to have more time to focus on me. So my kids are 20 and 23. One's about to start grad school, thankfully. My son is a sophomore, but I am essentially an empty nester. And I told my husband, I need space, not because I don't love him. I love him amazing. We have an amazing marriage. It's just, I needed to be able to center and start to think about how can I focus on me, physically, mentally, even professionally. Helping, coaching and mentoring is a passion of mine. And so we've established another little household. I am in Colorado now more of the time. And my goal is to invest more in progressing into my future, into the things I really care about. At some point, I'll write a book, Kathy.
Well, I've got one for you right now. One of them, it's called Women in STEAM, a global movement.
Yeah, well,
That
yeah.
one could be perfect for you.
So let's chat. Yeah. So I mean, but honestly, this is me and you all know Pam. I know she's not on this call, but me and Pam have actually talked about all these different topics that we could certainly sit and blog about, write a book about. Even my Latina culture. There's so much to share. It's just getting the time and the drive and the support to make it happen.
And I'm loving what I'm hearing because there are ways we can facilitate it through the Women Investing in Women brand, right?
Mhm.
So we can definitely, Robin and I have been talking and I've been thinking through, I definitely want to have 1 or 2 retreats in the Caribbean for women.
Well, you said Caribbean and you got me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sign me up.
So we
Yeah.
take women there,
Yeah.
we give them the nature and the relaxation they need to get centered and experience that life, and through that shared experience, then get grounded and do certain things as part of that. And we have options to kick off our own blog where women take turns and a different woman writes a blog a week, or maybe 1 or 2 days a week. We have everybody writing 1 blog and we already have a whole year covered, right? So we can create this Women Investing in Women blog. I would dearly love to have a annual retreat or biannual retreat in Belize, and Robin and I already we are piloting Caribbean retreats for the Caribbean women themselves and the Caribbean youth in May. So we're already putting the infrastructure in place to be able to make it a annual or biannual Women Investing in Women event. And before we kicked this off today, we were talking about what if we do 1 anthology a year, getting about 25 to 30 women, and thematically, Women Investing in Women, book 1, book 2, however we want to name it, with a subtitle, and get the messages out, celebrate the women, make sure these women are in each other's forums, making sure that we are having these as training programs outside in the community. How do we take this into a movement at a time where our society needs it? And I don't just mean in the United States, because we've had Women Investing in Women guests from all over the world. I work in Africa. I live and work in the Caribbean as well, in addition to the US. I am from Asia. So there are places we can take this and we can travel, and imagine doing a Women Investing in Women cruise. And on the cruise, we actually outline and write our chapters for our annual anthology. And it's an annual cruise with a book writing. So there is a workshop, and then there is playtime, and there's relaxation and entertaining time. I can come up with 1,000,000 different ways to make this fun, grounding, supportive, and impactful. And I am truly honored to have all of you ladies and my partner in progress, Robin, to bring these things together. And this will allow us to bring younger women, other women into the fold too.
You know, one of the things that led me to want to go to Belize is Cass frankly was sharing with me some of the societal attitudes of women in Belize. And I have a whole series of women creating well-being workshops, workshops for, well-being workshops for women. I was so utterly appalled, beyond appalled. I was outraged at some of the social attitudes toward women that I was like, I'm going to come there. Sorry, I'm going to go to Belize and I'm going to get some of my workshops, because you women deserve better. You deserve better. And so I'm actually going to be going in May and doing a workshop with Cass, and she's going to be focusing on the finance side. I'm focusing on like the well-being side. I'm also doing a presentation for the youth on mindset, on optimism, resilience, and all of that. So at any rate, but that's how that's how this idea started, was I learned about women just being treated poorly and accepting that poor treatment. And it's like, no, you deserve better and you can have better. And I know I had to experience that in my life, where I was not treated as well as I deserved. and now I am.
Yes, and that is the thing, right? And I already have shared the information with the mayor, the minister, all men. They're super excited. because my husband and I continue to do programs in the community to help them think differently. Because when you don't know and you have never left that space, you don't know any better, right? It's the same in communities in the United States. I know communities where people have never left their hometown, right? So our worldview is shaped by only our lived experience. And if we truly want to make sure people have a good life, we need to show them what a good life looks like, right? And so that is what encourages me as a woman in a financial executive position who travels the world and helps big business. I carve out time to help individuals and society because I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you know what? I left home at 16, leaving a genocidal war with my siblings to raise them and give us a good life. And I was able to negotiate a deal with the nuns. Sister Joanita was our warden where we stayed. The deal I made is I'll bring 30 children from the slum and educate them. And would you let us go to school? And they said, sure. I come from a world where service for service exchange is okay because money is not the beginning and the end of the universe. And I want to be able to bring that mindset to all of us, where we are being bombarded to make choices between making money and not having anything. And that is a false choice. That is truly a false choice. Women can lift each other up and do service for service exchange, and we can be completely fulfilled. I've worked for Warren Buffett. If you look at Warren Buffett companies, he owns a rail car company. He owns jet companies. He owns training of pilots. He owns cleaning of corporate jets, right? He owns manufacturing nuts and bolts, manufacturing industrial equipment, and making portable power, including batteries, right? So so every business of Berkshire Hathaway is doing business with every other business of Berkshire Hathaway. The money stays in the pool and the pool expands. Let's take a page from the big boys and make it work for us girls.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Really, really exciting. And I'm loving all of the the different perspectives and the different strengths that everyone brings. Like technology is not my thing. I have been slowly dragged into the 21st century on technology because I have had to. But so I really appreciate, someone like, say, Maddie and her technology. And then, Kathy and her inspiration, tenacity, grit, and all these books that she's written. And of course, Cass on multitudinal levels. So it is exciting that bringing in different resources. And if you look at the list, we'll email out the list of all the women, the title of their of their presentations. And it's truly amazing what we can do. And we have actually connected women who've been on our podcast. They'll be talking about something. We'll go, oh, well, someone else was on our podcast, 6 months ago. Why don't we connect you? And so it's really amazing how by collaborating, having an abundant universe mindset, that we're really able to lift each other up. Very, very exciting.
So thank you so much, Robin, for taking this ride with me. We met professionally, we've become friends, and we're more than friends now. We're partners, we're co-hosts. You're going to be coming and staying with me in Belize at my home. So you're becoming family now, right? And that's the beauty of this bond. It doesn't have to remain a conversation or a transaction. We truly can build families that are truly heart-centered. And the old saying, blood is thicker than water, but that is only a partial statement. The full statement is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It gives a completely opposite meaning of what the short version is.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, life is about finding those relationships that create that heart-centered covenant. That is what lifts us up. And to me, that's what Sister Joanita is. To this day, we are part of a WhatsApp group. We talk She calls and wishes me for my birthday, my husband's birthday, for my anniversary. And once a week, we text each other and we say how much we love each other. And believe it or not, I call her my darling sister Joanita, and she calls me her darling girl, right? So the norms of, and I'm Hindu and she's Christian, and all of that is normal for us. How do we create that normalcy that is heart-centered, that's rooted in love? Because love has no barriers.
And before I forget, I'm going to do one more share screen and bring my slide back up. And I have an announcement to make. So this is going to be released on Monday. You can see this is the link to it, but it won't be active until Monday the 31st. But Cass is being honored in Marquise Who's Who. And this is a screenshot of the first part of the release, but we will email out to everybody the PDF of the release as well after Monday when it comes live. But I just thought this was so cool. And of all people who deserve to be honored, she totally does. You look at the first couple of paragraphs there, or the first sentences, celebrating 34 years of expertise in international finance and business operations. And you read through her bio, all the things that she has done and the heart that she has put into everything that she has done. It's really, really remarkable. And I am so excited for her and so excited that she is getting this honor. And it is really, really, really amazing. I'm going to share a story about Cass. This was during, well, a couple of stories. She was working for a company, and this was back in the day when they didn't have all the, as much technology as we do now. And so how they were doing their accounting was kind of slow and laborious and tedious. And the company changed the rules, and they said, okay, we want it done faster. We want it done sooner. And so people were like staying overnight in their offices to get this done. And at the time, Cass was not married, or maybe she was married, but
I was married.
Yeah. And she said, listen, you ladies who have children, go ahead, just go home. It's ending time. Go home. I can stay and I can keep working and get this done. You need to go home and be with your family. I thought that was an amazing attitude. And then another experience, which was really horrific, was during a 9/11, where a huge portion of her company was wiped out, and then another company was wiped out, and they stepped up and they said, we're going to help. And we're going to adopt some policies that got a lot of criticism on Wall Street. And they said, it doesn't matter. This is the right thing to do. This is the human thing to do. It's a humane thing to do. And we're going to do it. And we don't care how it impacts our stock price. And they took those right human actions, and then their stock ended up being just fine eventually anyway. But to me, that is an example of how she lives her life. And not only towards women, especially towards women, but towards men and just towards humanity and the people that are around her. So anyway, I'm so excited for her that she is that she's getting to get to have this honor, and it'll be launched on Monday.
Congratulations. What a great honor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. And I always say I didn't get here on my own. There were so many men and women who have supported me, who continue to support me. And this is my birthday month. This is Women's History Month. Having this in March is extremely special. And I truly am honored to be taking this journey with every one of you ladies, because we are only as strong as the collective force we bring. And I'm always the first person to say, I'd rather help women find their power and live in their power in their state of grace instead of empowering them. Because empowering means we take everything out and then piecemeal it to them to make them feel like we're giving them something. I'd rather take the approach of helping women get grounded in their own power and then step into their power and show up. Because every woman is a goddess. We're not princesses, we're goddesses. We don't need rescued. We don't need somebody to give us a castle. We just need to be able to stay in our place of peace, our state of grace, and own our power. And that is the vision I want for women investing in women. That is the investment I want us to do for each other, because it's only together we can make this happen. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey, for every woman of different ages, of different cultures who've taken this journey with us. And I am extremely grateful to you, Robin. I remember the day I met you at the GFOA conference. I was attending the conference as the CFO for a $22 billion pension fund, Chicago Teachers Pension Fund, and we just happened to have a conversation at your booth. And the fact that we were aligned in the belief and the faith that if we did the right thing for the right reason, the right way, everything else will fall into place. And that one by chance conversation, which was serendipitous, has come such a long way. And to me, that is a testament. There are no accidents in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do a quick screenshot before we end things up. So everyone smile and I'll do a screenshot. Awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining this conversation. And thank you so much for all the women who have been a part of this program and all the men who have been allies of this program. We are very grateful. We take this journey together, and we take this journey truly from a heart-centered perspective, because we are building a world that behooves not just us, our children and our grandchildren and everybody who comes thereafter. So please, happy Women's History Month. Keep making history and keep making a difference, because together we are going to leave this place a better place.